Hi guys, welcome back to CJ's Keto Kitchen. Tonight we are going to start some of our holiday baking, and I am going to be making pie, and it is going to be pecan pie or pecan pie, depending on where you're from. So come along with me and let's get started. So we have made a pecan pie recipe in the past on this channel, but it is 3 years old. And I feel like this is going to be a perfected recipe because the ingredients that I'm going to be using this time are going to provide more of that ooey gooey filling that is very typical in traditional pecan pie. So hopefully it's going to turn out stellar, and it is something that you could definitely serve for the Thanksgiving meal, and that's why we're doing it this week. So come along with me and let's go ahead and get started. You are going to want to preheat your oven to 325 degrees. We are going to be cooking this at a longer amount of time, but a smaller amount of temperature, just to make sure that our pie sets up very well. So 325 is what you want. You also need about a 3-quart saucepan, because that is where we are going to be doing our pecan pie filling. And then you are also, of course, going to need a pie pan if you're going to be making pecan pie. If you choose to do this into a bar form, you absolutely could. And then you would need an 8x8 inch baking dish. But I'm going to be making mine into a pie. So I have a pie pan here. So the first thing that we want to do in a small bowl is we want to make our crust ingredients for our pie. And so I'm going to be doing that with almond flour, and you need 1.5 cups of almond flour into your bowl. I'm going to add just a tiny bit of sweetener into my crust. You really don't need a lot because of course your pie itself is going to be fairly sweet. But I do like how it assists in making the crust a little more flavorful and a little more golden. So I'm only going to be putting about 1 spoonful. And the sweetener that I'm using for this is the Whole Earth, and it is a combination of stevia and monk fruit. And I'm just going to break up my almond flour a bit because it can get a little bit lumpy before we add our butter to make our crust. And that also combined our sweetener into our crust. Okay, to this I need 1.5 sticks of butter, and I have melted it. And we are just going to stir this up to combine it. Okay, so now I'm going to put our crust dough into the bottom of our pie pan, and I'm just going to press it around to form our crust. And I'm just going to use my clean hands to do that.
Like cold November rain.
And just try and get your crust as even as you can.
Like a man without a name. Like a song.
It's best if you can make it fairly thin on the bottom, working up to the sides. I'll put a towel underneath my pie pan so it stays still while I do this. And it's not noisy on my quartz countertops. I'm sure the cameraman will appreciate that.
Like a hive without the bees.
Now we are going to pre-bake this crust for just a couple of minutes. We're not looking for actual doneness of the crust because of course our pie is going to cook for quite a bit of time in the oven after we get our filling done. So our crust is just basically pre-cooking. All right, so I'm going to wash my hands and I'll be right back. So I am going to go ahead and put my crust ring on my dish right now. Even though we're only going to be cooking this for a couple of minutes, it will already be on there for putting the filling inside. So mine is just made out of silicone, and it comes in a size that is adjustable. And then you just rest it on top like that. And my pan is quite large. My pie dish is quite large. But this one does have a little adjustable node right there if your dish was a little smaller. But this is just going to protect the edge of our crust as we bake our pie so that it doesn't get too overdone without the center getting cooked. So I'm going to put this into the oven for 8 minutes, and that is just going to lightly golden brown and set our crust so that when we put our filling into it, it's already had a little bit of a cook time. Okay, so it's just lightly set. So I was going to put my silicone ring on here, but my pie dish is fluted and it's a little extra large. But this is a wonderful idea. I love silicone anything, and this is a silicone pie cover for your crust. And it does have a notch for different sizes, but I have an overly large pie pan, so I just had to foil mine. But this is a really cool idea if you're looking for something to protect your crust. Okay, moving on to our pecan filling, we need to start in our saucepan. And I need 1.5 cups of butter. And I've slightly softened mine just to get us started. So I've just turned my heat on, and our butter is going to get further melted. Now to our butter, we need to add our sugars. So the first one I'm going to add is Sucre and Gold. It's my favorite brown sugar alternative. And I want 1/2 cup of this. And I'm just going to start working that in a bit as our butter is heating up. Now the second one that I'm going to be using is Boca Sweet, and we will have this linked for purchase on Amazon. That is where I got mine at. And Boca Sweet is actually from the kabocha squash, and it's considered a superfood because of the fiber that assists your gut microbiome. It has 100% natural pentose, and it does not provide any kind of insulin spike for most people, which is very nice. But what's nice about this is the texture it can provide for baked goods. This is going to assist us in giving that gooey consistency that pecan pie generally has. You can use straight erythritol, but you're going to have a crystallization that takes place once your pie has cooled. So you will not get that gooier texture with a straight erythritol ratio in your pecan pie. I have made it with just erythritol in the past, but once again, you will get that granular, grainy crystallization that happens with that particular natural sweetener after your pie has cooled. So of the Boca Sweet, I also want 1/2 cup. So now that we have added our natural sweeteners, because they're both granular products, what we're doing here is just cooking it a bit, just 2 to 3 minutes, so that our natural sweeteners can dissolve into our butters. You can see that it's starting to take on the caramel color that we usually associate with pecan pie. I am now going to remove this from the heat. To our caramelized sweeteners and butter, I'm going to be adding 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. That in. Now is when you want to add your extract. You could use vanilla, but I'm going to be adding maple here because I have it and I think it goes well with pecan pie. But you can definitely use vanilla, and I want about 2 teaspoons. So our next step is eggs, and I have 3 large eggs here that I have beaten up a little bit. Now, in order to make sure that our hot sweeteners and butter do not cook our eggs, I'm going to temper that. So I'm going to put just a little bit of this mixture into our eggs to bring them to the similar temperature so that you don't end up with scrambled eggs. Just a little bit of the hot mixture, and I'm just going to whisk it around just so that our eggs reach the same temperature as our caramel sauce. Now I can add everything into the pan now that they're the same temperature. And we just want to whisk that around really well. Now we are going to add 1.5 cups of chopped pecans. Just going to stir that around. And there's our delicious pecan pie filling. So we're going to put this into our crust. And then we are going to bake this for about 45 to 50 minutes. Still at your 325 degrees. Okay, into the oven we go. 325. Starting at 45 minutes. Oh, it's been exactly 45 minutes for me. I'm getting ready to take it out. You want to make sure that your pie is at least mostly cooked. It's okay if there's a little bit of jiggle in the center, just a little bit. But other than that, you want it to be fairly solid, and that's how you know that it's ready to come out. And mine took exactly 45 minutes. So there it is, our lovely pecan pie. So I took the foil off right before I removed it from the oven. I got a little brown, but not too bad. And I'm going to let this sit for probably at least a half hour, if not an hour, to fully firm up before I cut it and let CJ taste it. And you can, of course, top this with homemade whipped cream or some ketogenic ice cream or anything like that if you would like. Okay, tonight's fabulous dessert is ooey gooey pecan pie. I would like to know your opinion of this pie, especially in comparison to the one that we made 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, I don't think it's going to be any comparison at all. This is good. It's ooey gooey. And yeah, the texture's different. And it'll probably be even different tomorrow because although it's been sitting for a while, it probably needs to even sit overnight.
Right, it's still warm.
Yeah, it's still a little warm. But it's good. Good flavor. And I probably wouldn't know that this wasn't a regular pie I mean, it's sweet enough. And the texture, I mean, this texture is way different than the ones from the past.
Yeah. It's very soft.
Yeah.
Not crystallized at all.
Yeah. So, I think it's good.
Good.
Thanks for the hard work. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us again tonight, you guys. We hope that you enjoy the pie. I know that we definitely are, and we hope that you have a wonderful Thanksgiving or whatever you're celebrating. If you're in Canada, you've already had your Thanksgiving. But this pie can be made any time of year. Please consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you know when our content goes live. We upload on Wednesdays, and then is when we have keto conversations. That's where we get together and talk about different ketogenic lifestyle topics. Sometimes we have food unboxings, grocery hauls, what we eat on this lifestyle, and a bunch of other different relevant keto topics. So definitely check us out then. And then our new recipes go up every Sunday, and sometimes they're sweet and sometimes they're savory. So definitely hit the bell so you know when that happens. If you need any information for this recipe or any of our other recipes, we have a lot of holiday foods that we've made in previous years. That is all on our blog, and that is CjsKetokitchen.com. And there you will find all the recipes. Most of them are printable. We also have tips and tricks, different things that we learned while making the recipe, macros, and all the other information that you might need. We are also on social media. We are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest, and we are also trying our hand at a little bit of TikTok. So definitely check us out there, and that is CJ's Keto Kitchen everywhere. So definitely come back and see us again, and until that time, be well and safe. Bye.